Hello, welcome to another edition of the Low Code Cafe. This is episode number 169 for August 28, 2024. Today we're going to finish up our series. This is the third part of a three-part series talking about how to do streamlining alerts, doing user notifications. So today we'll finally get to the point of the episode. We'll be delivering the notifications by emails, and we'll go on to show an alert icon when you have notifications that you haven't not yet acknowledged. We'll also talk about some hotfixes, which I'll get to quite quickly. I'm joined today by Patrick Anderson, Technical Success Manager for Plantain App, and I am Dale Warner, Head of Support. This is an event that we do bi-weekly, every other Wednesday, this hour, 10 a.m. Central Time, and we spend an hour doing talking about updates and doing demonstrations, and then spend most of our time on hands-on low coding. And then we will also talk about stories and tips from our team. It's just our communication platform so that you can know what's going on with Plantain App. We record all these and put them out on YouTube, so you can get to them youtube.com/plantainapp. There's 168 episodes out there already, and we'll add one more after today. Our agenda today, I am going to talk a little bit about some things from the trenches of support, and then we'll go on to our hands-on low coding, finishing up that notification system. We encourage you to engage with us. There's a chat window. There's a question and answer. You can raise your hand and talk. After it's all over, there's a feedback form. So any and all of those ways, we would appreciate you interacting with us. As I mentioned, this is something that we do every other week. So the next live webinar will be September 11th. All right, let's get into support. We are currently on version 1.26. It was released on June 14, so just over a couple of months ago. And there's some hot fixes to talk about. We've been busy in these last weeks developing hot fixes for Plantain App, and sometimes because there's so much activity, one blocks another, and so we've gotten to a spot where we can release a whole bunch of them. In the past, I have pulled them out and put them into a presentation, but I thought it might be more useful for you to see them where they live in the updates screen of or in the updates page of your configuration. You can get to the updates. There's the hotfixes tab, and our description of those have improved substantially. So it's probably just as easy to take a look at them here. I'll point out a few that are probably most interesting, and then we'll go from there. So in the token builder, there was an odd circumstance, especially if you had a very slow connection, that you could end up with a duplicate token that confused Plantain App. So we're now preventing that. It happened when you were clicking save, like if you were double clicking the save on that function. So that annoyance is gone. Here's a new feature in portal management. We now have an action. You'll see an action under portal management that will let you export the page, which is the same content that Dana needs to import a page. So this may help you transport pages from one system to another, so you can investigate that. We've made quite a few changes in listings, and I'll hit a few of them, but you can stop and take time and take a look at them. We had an issue where some of the root buttons that appear either at the top or bottom of a listing weren't grouping correctly, and we fixed that. We've fixed the create Excel from list action. It was giving an error, and it no longer does. There was some issues with navigating when you had listing filters turned on, and so that's been fixed. We worked on the hierarchy view so that there was an issue, and I think I pointed this out in either a Café or a Campfire in past weeks, where the hierarchy view wasn't expanding, so now it will. Um, there's a whole slew of um, uh, tokens that are now available in um, when you're looking at queries and, excuse me, at listings. And so, for example, I'll bring the documentation to this up. It shows all the different things that are available, these special listing tokens that you can get to and act on. So this is a way to find out what's going on as a low-code developer, finding out what's going on with that particular listing and maybe react to it. Fixing errors with buttons when they appeared in groups and correctly updating the query string. So lots and lots going on. And these have all been tested and passed our UAT. If any of those are bugging you, I would install them. I'll also point out in our forms product, if we look at the details of that, if you've used this product at all before, when there are actions in that uh, prompt when you're working in forms that prompts the field name. So for example, when you're doing the set user reset password, you can choose between either providing a token or providing a field name, but those didn't make sense in the context of a workflow or other places within the product. So we've made some changes so that these things show up correctly, showing field names in forms or listings, but in other products like or other pieces of the product like APIs, it only shows the expressions. So that's what that one's about. I know some of you that are even on this call have had problems with our redirect to portal page action not working correctly. So there's a fix for that. Basically, it was if you defaulted the page, if you're just trying to refresh the current page, it was going someplace else. So now that piece of it is fixed. Some of these fixes are very inconsequential. We've sometimes, for example, in the inline documentation was pointing to a wrong documentation page, so we fixed that in that release. The CNP is a validator that's used in Romania. If it's like a social security number in the US, so that's been improved. Predefined fields were broken before, and now they've been fixed. And if you use dropdown with autocomplete, the last item in that autocomplete list wasn't visible before. We didn't correctly compute the height computation, and so now that's been improved. So lots of little things been going on in forms. Probably the most things that most number of changes always happen in our app builder module. So looking for consequential things in here, you can go through these and find them things that are important to you, but lots of little bugs. This is a nice cosmetic one that being able to see more of the name when you're looking at the entity screen. So before it was cutting off, and now it's going to show more of it.
And just a note on that one, and it has a tooltip to show the entire name if you hover the
Thanks.
the name. Yeah.
Thank you, Patrick.
Sure.
And this is a significant one that many of our actions, some of our actions have an on error section. So if an error takes place within the action, that you can react to it. Now, execute workflow actions, anything where you're executing workflow, you can add an on error section so that if anything in that workflow throws an error, you can capture it and trap for it. So that gives you the ability, for example, to maybe set up a notification to say to an administrator to say that something is failing and to be able to do something with it. So quite a few changes, a big slew of changes, and so if any of those are bothering you, you can install. You can either, and I'll just demonstrate. You can click this button here and install all, get all the hot fixes. Alternately, if you want these hotfixes are cumulative. We've mentioned this before, but for example, the .95 version of this Forms product, if you install this, you would get 90, 91, 92, and 95. All those things would be included. So it's possible to partially install, and you can do that here. So you can say install a specific version. And so, for example, you could just install the .95 or the .92. So and you would get the cumulative, if you're looking for a particular hotfix, you can do that or just install them all. Okay, that's hotfixes. Since there's that new action, I wanted to show it off just so that you know what it looks like. So this was in portal management, the export page, and it asks questions like what page you're going to do, which it has either you can pick it from a list or do an expression to say the page name or the module, the page ID, something like that. So you pick it, and then it creates an output token that has it's basically the same thing as if you exported it through the DNN interface. All right, that's hotfixes. Get that out of the way. And so beyond that, I would just encourage you to engage in the other event that we do, Low Code Campfire. We do that every Friday, this same hour, and that's more of an interactive format, much more of a conversation rather than a training. And among other things, we have great users that show up, and so between the Plantain App staff and our users, it's a great place to get questions answered if you're struggling with something or even a particular chunk of code that isn't working the way that you think should. There are links for this episode, which I'm sure Patrick has honestly already put on the webinar chat, but you can register in advance for the Low Code Campfire. You can get to our recordings. You can get on our community portal. Webinar feedback form is a place where you can tell us what you thought about this webinar or what you think you'd like to see in future episodes. So now we get on to the fun part, hands-on low coding, part 3. And so we're finally today going to do the thing that we started out 2 sessions ago. So let's just kind of recap quickly. Part 1, and these are out on youtube.com/plantainapp. So that would be episode 167. We started from scratch. We built all the entities and some interface things, the subscription, being able to do activities and subscribe with various frequencies. So we just set the stage in episode 1. Episode 2, we started to create notification. We created the notification entity and then started to populate it so that when activity log things happen, it drives the notifications based on subscriptions. So that's what that was episode 168. So today we're going to finish it out. All these notifications that got generated, we're now going to deliver. So let's visually recap that. We're not going to look at any of the code, but just, what did we do? We built a small application to illustrate the point. It was just a contact application, and what it does, it's just keeping up with people and addresses and email addresses. And so if we were to edit something like, for example, to change an email address from one thing to another, the change is happening in this system, but it's also generating an activity log. And so I'll refresh my activity log here, and we can see that the email address was changed from one thing to another. And then the work that we did in the past couple of weeks makes it so that it creates notifications based on that activity. So now we can see that this subscription, Dale, to get instant notifications of everything, generated a notification, and then Bogdan is going to get a weekly summary of everything. And so he gets the same notification, but they're in a status of queued. And so today we're going to take that from queued to sent. Everything that's waiting to go, we're going to wrap it up in a nice digest and send it. And all that was based on subscriptions. So, for example, we have this subscription that says that this is the person to notify if so if any contact changes, any activity changes, it happens every day at 5 o'clock. So I should get a digest today at 5 p.m. And then just to kind of show some of the other functionality that's under the hood here a little bit. Like we have, let's say this is Patrick, and let's say Patrick's notification, and we change it to 5 p.m. Notice that it's going to automatically compute when we refresh the screen. We'll see that it has automatically computed the next delivery time for Patrick. So 5 p.m. today, he'll get his daily digest, and then Bogdan's is we make a small change here just to illustrate that this thing is working. His is set up for Mondays at 4, so his next notification is going to be September 2nd. All right. So that's the system that we've built, and we've got these notifications ready to go. They're sitting in a queue, but we got to get them sent. And so that's what we're building today. So with that, let's get building. I think might be useful just to take a look at these. I'm going to have the notification states open here. Just a reminder, the value of 1 is queued is the ID of 1, sent is 2, failed is 3. So we're going to need those in the next step of what we're going to develop. And then let's see. Yeah, let's show particularly where we're going. We're going to do these 3 pieces. We need an automation that's going to look for subscriptions. And so it's going to be continually looking at subscriptions and to seeing, is there something queued for that subscription? And is it either something that we're going to instantly deliver or that the next run date has been achieved? And if there are subscriptions like that, we're going to call the send notifications workflow for each one of those subscriptions. So that's the automation that's going to make all this happen instantly according to the subscription. That send notifications workflow is just going to call whatever notifier is connected to the channel. Now, if you go back and look at probably episode 1, we talked about right now we're only focusing on emails, but you could connect this to any kind of notification. You could let another system know by way of an API call. You could post the notifications to Teams if that's the way that the person wanted to be notified. You could let them know by an SMS message. So we're building this structured so that it could be multiple ways to deliver information. But we're focusing on, and what we're actually going to do is email, which is probably a common pattern. So this thing is going to call the right notifier, and then we got to build the notifier that actually does the work of delivering all those notifications. I'll back up here. As with so many things, it's easiest sometimes to do it in reverse order. So we're going to build the notifier first and then work our way backwards to these other pieces. So at the very end, we'll have it all automated. So let's build an email notifier. All right. So that's the email notifier is going to be a workflow. And actually, we started that, we built a stub for it early on in our process, probably episode 1, part 1 of this, 167. So we built an email notifier. It was just there to exist so that we could link it to our data, and so probably let's see in our subscriptions, when we edit a subscription, we had a channel, the email. This is the note. This is pointing to the email notifier. So if you're going back and looking for that, that's how this all links in. All right. So we have this um, as the stub, and so now we have to build it out. What is it going to do? So the first piece of this puzzle is that we have to the input that we're going to have is the subscription. And this is tied, this is the type of, it is a notification subscription. So if the thing that's going to call this notifier is to say, deliver everything that's due for this particular subscription. And that's the only input that it's going to take. When we get all the way done, just for debugging purposes, since this is an email notifier, we'll go ahead and output we're going to end up creating a body of an email. And so we'll do this so we can see what it looks like. And we're also going to create a subject of an email. And so we'll add that here. So somewhere in the middle in this process, we're going to create a body and a subject. And so this is going to let us test this interactively and see if it worked. So let's make some space to work. And I'm going to save along the way here so we don't lose anything. So we have one input, two outputs. The first thing that we're going to do is maybe it'll help to take a look at our notifications. So the idea is, and we're going to need some SQL to figure this out, but for everything that's queued, we're going to want to for a given notification. For everything that's queued or for a given subscription, we want to get it out. So the SQL for that is going to look like, and we would, this is part of the fun of doing development. You're going to need to build up some SQL to express what it is that you want to do. But it's going to be something like select everything from app notification, and I've used the copy and paste functionality here. And it's going to be something like where the subscription, and we can actually copy that here. The subscription is equal to some number, and but we want the status of status equals 1. It's the queued status. And I don't have the subscription being displayed here, so I'm going to add it here just to make it a little bit easier to work with as I'm doing it interactively. No, that's the subscription. This is going to give me the ID. And so let's refresh and see if that's correct. There it is here. So this is showing now the link, what subscription it's linked to. So if I wanted to see all the subscriptions, all the notifications that are linked to subscription 1, the particular subscription that I'm working with, I can, in my test SQL, I can say where subscription equals 1, and it's going to get a list. So there's 10 things waiting to be delivered for subscription 1. This is the template for the SQL that we're going to need to do the notifier. So I'm going to copy that. This is going to be a create list from SQL Action. we're going to want a list of all the things that need to happen. And so to be notified. And so I'm going to use that same SQL, and then we'll bind it out here a little bit. The instead of using a 1, we can say at subscription ID. This allows us to bind it using the bind tokens. So the subscription ID, what we're going to pass into it is the subscription that's coming in on the input. And by the way, implicitly, this is the subscription ID. So you can either include ID or not, but this is saying subscription ID. So we're getting this is going to be a list of everything that we need to notify about. And the list name, we're going to create a list called notifications. So I like to add comments up here at the top so that we can see more about what this is. So this is get notifications for subscription, where the status is 1 queued. As I've done in the past, we can do some debugging to make sure we're on the right track. So I'm going to create a debug output here, and the list that we created was subscriptions, and that create list creates a count. So we can save and test this and see if it's working. And I didn't get anything. Let's see if we have subscription. Subscription equals subscription ID and create list. Colon, it should give us a colon count.
Yep.
Yes. Well, I say that. Oh, I might have, let's see. The input is subscription. The output is notifications. What we're getting is notifications. So let's do notifications. And this is why we test. Now we got 10 that are ready to go. All right, so we've got a list of notifications that need to be sent. And so now what we're going to do is we need to start setting up this subject and body that we're going to do. So this is going to be the initialization. So this is a create update tokens that is going to say subject and body. We'll create the subject and we'll create the body token. These are going to get built up over time. And then the subject we can build that up now, and it's going to be something like stop the pain and copy and paste it and just explain it. So it's going to have the word notification for, and then we're going to get the subscription title and the count. There are this many new activities, and I'm also throwing the date time now on there just for visual convenience. So this gives us this is going to build the subject for the email, and then the body is going to be empty. So we can test that much. So now we see that the title is saying notification for, and it's the title from the subscription, and there are 10 new activities, and it's got the date and time. So the subscription, the title is coming out as I would hope. And so now we need to build up the body. That's going to be a for each loop working through that notifications list. So my title is going to be something like for each notifications. Notifications is the name of my list, so I just paste it there. We want to add to the body. The list that we're going to do, again, is notifications. That's what was created in the create list from SQL Action. And so we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to need the, let's just go take a look at it. Part of what we're going to be grabbing the activity log information that we're going to be grabbing this title and putting it into the email. And so we need to, we're going to need to read that activity log. So we will add an action that is read activity log. And the activity log that we're reading is the one from the notification. The notification has an activity variable, an activity property, and so that's what we're reading. So we want to, the record ID that we want is notifications, notifications activity. I copied that from the SQL console. So this is going to give us our activity record, and we're going to call that activity log. So now we'll be able to refer to that as we're building up our email. And then now that we have that, again, we're here in our action list. We're looping through all the notifications. So we're going to do a create update tokens. We're going to update the body to have to, and it's going to start with whatever the body is so far. Remember, we started out, we created it as empty, but now we're going to add stuff to it. So for example, we could add the activity logs ID and the activity logs title. And we can see those on, you know, these column headings give us a clue about what those properties are named, or we could look at them in the SQL console. So we're adding that to it. And then if we wanted to get fancy, it would be nice to be able to send them to, this is the email they're going to get. Maybe they want to review this change. So being able to send them to the detail record and view that contact would be probably awfully useful. So if we were to go to like this, let's get the URL structure for a contact. If we want to look at the detail for this record, this is going to give us our URL here. And so if we follow this pattern, we can send people to the correct record. So whatever your system is, we want to send them to the detail, you can build up a link for that. So we're going to do something like, okay, this is the pattern that we're going to follow. We're going to do a little bit of HTML that creates a link. So it's an A with an href equals quote something, and then end the A, and then maybe we'll say something like view contact. So this is going to appear in the email, and then we have to close out the A tag. So now we just need some to fill in some blanks here with tokens. So the contact that we want to send them to is the activity log contact. So we can do that here with activity log contact. Activity log contact. And we can see in our SQL console that activity log has a contact property that's got the ID in it. And so we built that right so we can consume it here. And then if we want to get a little bit fancier and kind of a best practice, instead of hard code, whoops, capturing too much here. Instead of capturing it to hard coding it to this site, there's a core token that's kind of handy to use, and it's called URL domain root. So what this does for us is whatever this is Café 167 notifications, but if we cloned this site by using URL domain root, it would work and point them to the right to the clone of this site or whatever we eventually rename the site to. So that's kind of a neat best practice. So yeah, we're almost done. We've got a body. We start with the body as it was. We're adding on whatever this activity log is, and then maybe we'll put a nice dividing line here before we go on to the next one. So and then let's put these things in. Oh, I don't know why I thought I had it in the wrong order. We want to we'll add some documentation here. Read the related activity and head to the body so we can kind of at a glance see what this thing is doing. All right, so let's save and test that much. Do the same thing. So now we're getting a body that has, it starts with the first notification that that Warner was added, and we can see that it's got its contact ID 1. This link hopefully would take me to the Dale Warner record. We could test and prove that out by just opening up a browser tab and seeing if it worked. So we can paste that in there. And it didn't. I'm missing a slash, so that's a good thing to have tested. So let's improve this missing a slash right here. So let's fix that. So here in my and the body, this needed a slash. Save and test again. Try again. It's a nice interactive way to know that things are working the way you expect before you go on to the next thing and have to debug a bunch of things. So that link to the contact is the URL is good, and hopefully this SQL syntax, HTML syntax is good. So it added on number 9 and number 10 and all the ones that I was subscribed to, and then we see our subject. So it's a nice digest email, pretty much ready to go out. So let's see, what else do we need? I guess we're ready to send the email. So we can just add a send email action. And this is a bug I haven't installed the current hostesses. If I had this, this red would not appear. So that's a minor inconvenience, but it works correct. It's working correctly. So let's see, in terms of the logic, one of the things, it's possible that there were no notifications, that this thing is running and maybe there's nothing to send. So I'm going to add a condition on here that says that we only want to do this when the notifications count is greater than 0. So if it came out 0, we'll skip sending an empty email. But aside from that, we just fill in the blanks. Where are we going to send this email to? Well, for testing purposes, I'm going to just send them all to me. You would actually want to send them to the user in question. The subject is going to be the subject that we've built up. The body is going to be the body that we've built up. And then because we're here in test mode and we want to know um, who we want to who we would really have sent it to, not sending it to me, but to the person in question. Here's a we'll put in a line that says this should have gone to some other to address. And so from a test perspective, we can see if we're sending it to the right person. The the explanation of this token is that we're from the subscription, we're getting the user to notify. That's a user ID. And then we're taking advantage of the user email token that if you pass it a user ID, it will return back the email of that user on the system. So this is going to give us the email address of who this should have gone to, and we'll leave that there. And then there's some error handling stuff that we could do, but I'm going to skip on that for just a second. And so now let's see if this thing works. We'll save and test. We'll send it to we'll pick subscription number 1. We can see all the test output that we may end up not needing. I've got a email box here set up that let's see if I can get it to refresh and see if it sent an email. Yes, it did. So we have our title, we have the body of the email, and we can see this email should be sent to and the person. So if I had when I'm done with my testing, I'll just be able to take that email address and put it up into the to. And so then this gives us all of our digest, well, in this case, is a digest of all the notifications. And if I click the view contact button, hopefully this link will take me to Patrick's record. Perfect. So email is now working. And I don't want to go there. We want to go back here, and we'll probably get some more of these before we're done testing. So now we've sent the email. The last thing that we need to do is to make some changes to the database so that once these notifications are sent, they never get sent again. So that's going to be I'm going to do that as a run SQL action. And there's 2 SQL queries that we're going to do, and I'm going to put them in here one at a time so you can see them, but I've prepared them in advance. So we want to update the notification, and we're going to, this is going to say that we're going to change the status to, again, looking at our statuses. Do I still have the statuses up? Yeah, so to means sent. So we're looking for the ones that are in status 1 queued that we were just working with, and we're changing them in bulk to 2 that were sent. And we're setting the date sent as a get date. This is one way to do it. I could have looped through the list again or updated the item as soon as the email was sent. So there's different ways to go about this, but this is the way I've chosen. So that means this will make sure that we never send the same one again. And then we're going to do another query right here in the same one. It's kind of a nice feature to be able to run a couple of updates. So we're going to update the subscription so that we're going to change the last run date. So once the subscription was processed, we're going to update it and to provide the last run date. Now, remembering back an episode or 2, when the last run date changes, that automatically triggers it to compute a next run date by way of an automation. So now this is setting us up for the next run as well. So, okay, that gets us, so we'll send it once and then never again. So let's try that out. If we do the save and test and do the Dale Warner record again, it doesn't like what I did. My SQL is bad. So let's see if we can stare at the SQL and figure out what happened. Oh, I didn't provide any tokens, so that makes sense. Subscription ID and oh, I guess that's all that needs to be passed in here. So we've got to pass in the subscription ID, and that is the same. That's coming from our subscription of our input. So we'll do it one more time. And so now we have this email, and it's, I'm sure, sending an email. If we run it again, we should get nothing, and that's correct. And we didn't get any records because now they've all been set to sent. All right. So that's the first workflow that does all the work. So now we're just working on a couple of the other pieces. Let's go back to where we were starting from. I'm going to close stuff out just so I don't get too confused. So that was this one. If we have a subscription, we can deliver all the notifications that are waiting for that. So now the next piece of the puzzle was we need a send notifications workflow. So whatever whatever notifier is connected to the channel, we call that. This is going to be a real simple one. So this is a new workflow. So we'll say new, and this is going to be, the name of it is going to be send notifications. Input, we have the same thing as before. It's a subscription coming in. And this is of a type subscription. And then the process on this is just that it's going to call we got to use the subscriptions have a notification channel, so we have to read the notification channel to find out what to do. So we will do a read notification channel. The record ID is subscription channel, and we'll get an output called channel. So let's look at this in the data before we go too much farther. Maybe we can see it here. If we look at, let's look at subscriptions. We can see that each subscription has a channel, and they're all channel one. And if we look at notification channel, we can see that channel one gets us the notification workflow GUID. This is all we're going to need, but this is the thing that connects a subscription to how it's going to be delivered. And so we're going to use this GUID. We talked about this in prior episode. This is how we're going to get to do the delivery. So now that we have a channel, we can call that workflow. So we're going to use an action called, and this is one we've added recently. It's going to be execute workflow. The workflow that we're going to do is we could pick it by name here, but instead we want to pick it by expression, and we're going to use the channel, and it's the get that property name correct, but it's going to call it, and what we're going to pass to it is the by expression. Since this is a dynamic workflow, we have to tell it, we have to pass the things we need to pass. We're going to pass the subscription, and the value of that thing is going to be the subscription ID that comes from the inputs. We don't really care about the outputs. We could get those the body and the subject and stuff, but in this case, we don't really care, so we won't set up for any outputs. And then end. So we should be able to test this out if we say that we want to deliver. So it's got the same, we'll deliver for number one. This shouldn't do anything, but because I've already delivered them all, but it runs successfully. If I do the ones that the notifications that are set up for Patrick, we can run that and it runs, and we can come over here and look at our, let's refresh again and see here if we get the ones for Patrick. Well, I could have just waited patiently and it would come in. So there it is. Note Patrick to watch for change. So it ran for Patrick, and Patrick got all his notifications, and it would have gone to Patrick if we had it not set up in a test mode. So this send notifications is done. We just needed to go from, I have a subscription, I'm going to branch here dynamically, find out what the right channel is, and then this is so we are 2 parts out of 3 here. The third part is now we just have to automate this, and the automation is going to be pretty straightforward. We'll create that. This is going to be called the send notifications automation. So we'll be creating a new one. So its name is going to be send notifications. We have a user set up, and we talked about it in previous episodes. This logging user, this automation is going to act in that authority. From a trigger standpoint, we want to, this is going to be something that repeats. It's a time-based trigger. We want to repeat continually. And in this case, we're going to run it every 10 seconds. So you can decide what frequency that you need. But this says that it's going to keep, it's going to run this thing every 10 seconds and do delivery on any subscriptions that are waiting to go. And so then the actions that it's going to take, pretty straightforward. We're going to, again, this is a SQL, run SQL action. We need to get a list of not a run SQL. It's a create list from SQL. We want to get a list of things to deliver, and I'm going to do copy and paste development here and explain it. So we're getting a list of, we want to go from the notification subscriptions. We want to just get a distinct list of everything that's waiting to deliver. So we are, if there are notifications, we're joining through notifications to see that there's something to do. We're looking for queued notifications, so status of 1, and then the frequency, 1 gets delivered instantly. So if it has a frequency of deliver instantly, or if the next run date has passed, so now this is why it's so important that the next run get automatically computed. So if either of one of those two things are true, and it's a queued notification, it's going to create an output. The output is going to be called subscriptions. And so we'll create a list. That's the list that gets created. And then every time, so now this is giving us subscriptions that need to be processed. So now it's just a simple act to be able to, we're going to do a for each loop on that list. So for each thing in the list. this case, it's going to be for each subscriptions. We want to, well, let's see, the list that we're operating on is the subscriptions list. And we want to call that workflow. So we're going to execute the send notifications workflow that we just created. And the only thing that we need to send to it is the subscription ID. So it's got a prompt there for subscriptions. We're going to pass the subscriptions ID that's coming from that list. And so it'll do all the deliveries. And that's it. Save and close. It'll go to work.
Dale, I just wanted to clarify for a second. The reason you did the top 10 there is because you want to batch them. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you for that. Distinct top 10, yeah. So if there were 1,000 notifications that needed to go out because of a very popular time, yeah, this batches them in 10, and so they'll do 10, and it's just a way to keep. You don't want a job to run forever, so doing 10 and then the next 10 and the next 10, and of course the workflow that we're calling marks them as no longer queued. So the once it goes out, then it'll consider the next 10 and the next 10. But thanks for that.
Yep.
Okay. And so if this is working correctly, we should be able to let's clear out our work here and clear out our previous emails, and then let's see if it's just going to work. So end to end, we should be able to go into contacts, and if we make a change to Patrick's record, let's say we change his email address, and maybe we change him to a lost client, something like that. Behind the scenes, we've got an activity. Let's find it so we can see that his status was changed as an activity. From a notification perspective, we can see that notifications were created. So it's one set up for Bogdan, one set up for Patrick, and then this one is set up for me. And why these are saying status queued is, would have thought it would be sent already. Let's see. And so so maybe our automation isn't running yet. Let's see if we can. It is. Maybe our SQL is bad. Oh, maybe I'm not set up for instant notifications. Let's double check that. So subscriptions. Yeah, I'm set up for daily at 5 p.m. So even though the words say I get instant notifications, it was not that in our testing I had done that. So this is, we no longer need a digest time, but I am going to get notified by email. And I don't know, I don't care about next run and last run. So we'll get our things set up right for this. So I should be getting an instant notification now. And so hopefully when this runs the next time, it will send me an email. So it ran. Now I look at my notifications. And now we can see that for me, it's been sent. And if we wait patiently here, we should get an email here in the queue. All right, so that's all of it. Because we were down to the last minutes, the alarm mechanism that I mentioned, and we didn't get to do it. I'm going to show it, but we will. I don't know if we'll do this as a part 4, so I wanted to show it. This is my prep system, and the idea is that we've added an alarm bell here to say that there are notifications, and that if you click it, it goes to the notifications list. So this is simply a listing that shows all notifications that are sitting waiting to go. And I've added a button that says it changes the status to acknowledged. So as soon as I click it, it disappears. And so now the notification bell goes away. Um, the notification is no longer a new notification, and it's here as it's in the all list. And just then seeing this end to end, how we were supposed to get it. If I go to record and change um, something, it should generate the notifications for me, and we get this alarm bell showing up, and every notification, that every change that we make, it adds to the number of notifications. And just so that nobody misses out on anything, I will cover this in the Low Code Cafe on, Low Code Campfire, this last 10 minutes worth of how did he do that. So you can either look for, come to the Low Code Campfire or look for that. And so just this is a form with a nice icon on it, and it's actually a button that takes you to the page. None of this is very difficult, but it is just a few extra steps. And then we're also showing off our where we're going with Page Builder to be able to add content up into the page bar. I hacked my way into doing this, but we're going to do this in a much nicer way. Be able to create a pane up here where you can put content like a form, like an alarm bell form like this. Okay, and so I would encourage you, if you have any questions on any of that you bring those to the Low Code Campfire on Friday as well. Thanks for hanging with us this hour. We only get better by you giving us feedback. So show up at the campfire and tell us what you thought, or send us an email and let us know. And we will be going on to an entirely new topic 2 weeks from today, September 11th. All right. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.